So I've received several requests from a variety of people, friends of mine, that have asked me to talk about some more personal things, my personal experiences, my thoughts on relationships and unconditional love, various aspects of ALS, um, and I thought I would cover some of those things over a period of time. May take me a little while to get to all of them, but any requests that you folks have, I will be more than happy to give you my thought on it for what it's worth. So, uh, when it comes to relationships, I've been asked this several times because Brian and I have been together for 22 years, and that's not a common thing today where people stay together um, and commit to each other for their entire life. Brian and I met when we were in our early 20s. I actually met him when the day after my birthday. I had had a night before I went out to celebrate my birthday, and uh, a friend of mine professed their love for me, and I did not feel the same. I did not want that kind of relationship with them. So they proceeded to make the rest of my night miserable. So anyway, I went out the next night and to try to make up for my crappy birthday, and I met Brian, and he didn't think I was looking at him, which was funny. Um, and we ended up talking for the remainder of the night, um, both in a loud bar and afterward just sitting in a parking spot chatting just about every little things about life. So anyway, we had a really good connection. I felt mentally. It wasn't about the physical attraction; it was the mental attraction. There was just something about Brian that drew me in, and we continued to talk over the phone and spend every other weekend with each other. Whenever we could, we were spending time together. And our relationship bloomed, our friendship bloomed, and we ended up deciding to move in together, which was the first for me to truly live with somebody. I'd had a previous relationship, but I didn't consider that living together. So anyway, we moved in together within 6 months of our relationship, and we were really friends, and we have been from the beginning. I feel like we have a lot of things in common. We enjoy a lot of the same things. We have uh, goofy sense of humor, and we balance each other out. Um, he is a quiet person. He's a little bit more introverted. Well, I'd say he's a lot more introverted than I am, and he's more level-headed. So whereas I am very extroverted, I'm very talkative. I enjoy being in the world, and I sometimes act before I think, and can be a little erratic at times. I know I'm that way. I'm very self-aware, unfortunately, and he levels me out. He keeps me grounded, and I have been very grateful for our relationship. Now, when it comes to relationships, ours, just like everybody else's, has ups and downs. I would say, there's a saying where About every 5 years, you get the 5-year itch or something to that extent. Um, about every 5 years, we've had our troubles. And the thing about, we've almost split up several times through that time span. But we ultimately came together and discussed it. We had some heated discussions over the years, but we always came to the conclusion every single time our love for each other was bigger than any problem. And it was worth us working together to stay together. And so that's what we do. We don't always like each other, but I do believe we love each other. And the biggest things for Brian and I that I think work is that we do come to the same conclusion quite frequently. We treat each other with respect for the most part. We express our love for each other. It's a necessity that every time we go to bed, we say goodnight. We say I love you. We kiss each other. And we do the same before we leave the house. Every day. Because you never know when the last day is going to be. And we've always done that. And it's just something we've done. I think it helps us a great deal. Even when we've been mad at each other, we have made it a point to say we love each other, because it's a healthy thing to do. And we have a lot of similar things we enjoy doing, but when it comes to relationships, you're not going to love everything about each other, or you're not going to like the same things all the time. And that's the case for Brian and I. But when you love somebody and you look at them and watch them light up when they do something, such as, for Brian, it's working on his truck, creating that himself. With his guns. He loves guns. He loves to be able to go shoot guns. He lights up. And I love that. I love watching that. I may not love it as much as he does, but I love that he loves it. So I learned to love it over the years. A lot of things that he likes, I've learned to love. He doesn't necessarily love a lot of the things that I do, but he supports me in all those things, and I support him in everything that he works towards and wants to do. I love gardening. He's not a fan of it, but he will help me. Has been many times over the years. I have a lot of projects in my brain, and he has helped me with all of those projects because he wants to help me. So it's things like that really has helped our relationship. Not letting the noise from outside interfere with our relationship has been a massive part of it. Our relationship is our relationship. It's not anybody else's. Nobody else has a say in what we do with our lives. And that has helped. Now, some of the things that I feel I should talk about is, two big things for me, and the pretty big things, I would say, is marriage and children. These are two things that I've wanted my entire life. I always envisioned myself, being married with children. Unfortunately, I really never had that discussion in the beginning of the relationship like I should have with Brian. He does not believe in marriage. He does not believe or want to have children. So that was some hurdles I had to overcome. But again, I looked at the overall picture and said, okay, can I and am I willing to accept that he does not want those things? And it took me a really long time to be able to come to terms with that. But I realized that I wanted to be with him regardless. So if it meant not being able to be married and not being able to have children, that was the price I was going to pay, and I was going to accept it. And I did, and I don't regret it. I think I would have been a great parent, um, but I've been blessed with some amazing nieces and nephews, so I can't really complain too much about that. But when it comes to relationships, it's all about communications. I sometimes fail at that. I have a tendency to go silent when I'm angry, and so that is not a healthy thing. I'm aware of it, and I've been trying to work at it for a long time. I go silent because I have a tendency to speak what's on my mind, regardless of what it's going to sound like to the other person, and I hate hurting people's feelings. And I have unfortunately hurt Brian's feelings from some of the things I have said to him over the years. And I'll never be able to apologize enough. I mean, I know he has forgiven me, but the scar is still there. So you have to remember to think before you speak to the person you love, especially when you're speaking in anger. But you also need to learn to not go silent. That has been one of my biggest regrets in our relationship. So I'm not an expert in relationships, but I do know that you have to put all of yourself into the relationship. You have to love your partner for all aspects of themselves. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, you have to love it all. You can't love somebody part way. It's just not possible. So that goes over to the other topic, unconditional love. You have to love your partner unconditionally. You have to stand by them through everything. So that's how we have stayed together. It hasn't been perfect, but I wouldn't change anything, and I would not trade a day. I don't regret being in this relationship for one moment. So that's all I got to say about relationships at this point. I may bring it up again later, but I'll talk about some other things as well. I really want to get to talking about anything that you folks want to hear about, want to hear my opinion. I am going to share stories about my life, where I'm from, my childhood, things that I've done good, bad, and whatnot. So I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you have a good remainder of your day.